Shalom Israel, and welcome to another edition of Yasharada's 20-minute breakdown, where I'll attempt to break down the scriptures within 20 minutes. But first and foremost, let's give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yaharoshai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash, and the Akims and the elders in the highways and the byways, pushing this word in truth and sincerity, and the elder women teaching the younger women, and also the camps making edifying videos, edifying the body, pushing it out there in social media. All praises to you all. And those brothers going out on the street as well and, evangelizing for the word, the true word, that is, coming straight out the scriptures and not adding or subtracting to it. All praises to you too. Now, what I am going to touch on now is something, because I was listening to that Christian channel network, and I heard your favorite pastor, he calls himself Bishop T.D. Jakes, say something very profound, and I want to address that actually, because he's being interviewed on this TBN channel, which TBN stands for the Trinity Broadcast Network. That's what it stands for. He's being interviewed by Matt and Laurie Crouch, I believe their names are. That's who's interviewing him. And he said something very profound. Now, I'm going to play it to you shortly and let you hear it for yourself. But, there's just one thing I am very puzzled with. Now, it's this. Now, our people, if you go into any, shall we say, ethnic area where our people dominate, what do you find mostly in that area? It's churches. Haven't you noticed in a predominantly Caucasian, or should we say, use the word white area, you've got a church, one here, one there. But when it comes to a predominantly so-called black area, churches are everywhere. You can walk about 100 meters from one church, you walk about 100 meters or a bit more, you'll find another. If you notice how they've set up churches predominantly in our area. Why? Because we have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. And when I say not according to knowledge, I mean not according to, let me show you, not according to this knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. We haven't got it according to this knowledge. What we have got our knowledge according to this knowledge. Because when we were taken as slaves in the 1600s, and the northern kingdom was taken in slavery before us in the 1400s, in the 1400s, in the 14th century. But us, should we say, the Negroes, as they like to call us, when we were taken into slavery, into these, by this time 1600, in the 16th century, we were forced to be Christians. We were given that image and told to worship that image, as Christ, which that the Bible does not substantiate that image whatsoever that I just held up. We were forced, that was forced on us. We were forced to worship and become Christians. And I'm going to read you as well I'm going to read you two people that led countries, one of the main two. I'm going to read you the American president, the 10th American president at that time. And I'm going to read you the one that they all love to say, Winston Churchill, which was the British Prime Minister. I'm going to read you quotes what the two of them has said. And and one thing you notice, right, when it comes to the Bible, now you can go into a church, like a present day church today, and you've got an English guy, a white guy, standing on a pulpit with these large phylacteries, them gowns they wear and a cross on it, and looking all what's the word I'm looking for? They're looking all godly. And they will say things in the Bible, even our own people, because you've got to remember they went to theologian school and seminary school, so they are taught. Who runs these schools? It's the same Caucasians that are teaching their philosophy and bringing it to our people. And they're putting some of our people heads of the church. just to teach us the Bible, which is deceiving us because they're not teaching us according to God's word. And if you notice, when you go into them establishments, they would read a verse and they would talk and expound on it or whatever have you, and they'll give you what it means and what it says. And you know what? You accept it. You do not question it. Anything they say, oh, this is the word of God. God said this. He said this. John 3:16. God so loved the world. Or everybody. He sent Christ, as they call him, Christ, for everybody. And you know, sinners, everybody, you know, you can come as you are, come to him. They say all this doctrine, and nobody questions it. Also, they gave us this image to say, this is Christ. This is who you worship. They have this image on a cross in their so-called temples. You don't question it. Yeah? But when you have the true men of the Lord going out on the streets, in the highways and the byways, preaching the word, the correct word, and not only are we reading directly out of scriptures, we are reading it the way how Isaiah taught us to read it. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So we are precepting the Bible to show you this is exactly what it means, because what we're doing, we're going from one place to another to explain that verse. So we're not actually explaining the verse. We're letting the Bible explain that verse that we read to say, this is what it's saying. But what you do, you come against us and you say we are taking it out of context, we don't know what we're talking about, and you question everything we say. But yet those people, just because they're in an establishment called church, they're wearing the little collar, the big banners and borders on their garments, looking all godly, you don't question them, and you don't read the Bible yourself to see if what they say it's saying, does it really say? And us as well. Now, you'll even check out one verse and you'll go against us, even though we can show you, and we do show you, by using precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, what this verse is actually saying. You still argue, tell us how we don't know what we're talking about, we are false prophets, you know? But anyway, time would tell. You will soon see who the real false prophets are. Anyway, with that now, let me play to you first and foremost what T.D. Jakes said, and then we're gonna go into the scriptures. I'm gonna show you a few things, besides that. So let's take this earpiece and let's play the clip. Now listen closely to when he's being interviewed by Matt and Laurie on that TBN network. Listen to what he says.
Back to the 1500s and the 1600s, and right. This really got bad then. I know a lot about that. Start that conversation, because I think that's important for people to know.
It didn't start in America. This whole supremacy didn't start in America. It started in the Dutch countries and Europe and colonialism and the pursuit of new lands and new territories and going after the gold and the silver. When you think of a country like Ghana and I am the same age. Nigeria isn't but a couple of years older than me. Okay, so when you look at these countries, like these countries were infused on top of tribes because the value of the Europeans was on getting the gold and the silver and making the money. Slavery wasn't about racism. Slavery was about money.
Right, there you are. You heard that clearly. And also, Salaki Israel, I forgot to let you know, I have started the timer. I started it as I played that clip. So my 20 minutes started from when I played you the interview. So just let that be known. Okay, me and my zealousness totally forgot to do the countdown as I normally do. So forgive me on that one, because this bothered me, so I just needed to get this out. Now, he just clearly said slavery wasn't about racism. It was only about money and wealth, and seizing land and all, and the gold, and that's what he said. I mean, you heard it yourself. You heard his voice yourself. Now, to that now, I'm going to read to you first and foremost before I start going into some of the scriptures. I'm going to read to you what the America's 10th president, which was Mr. John Tyler. He was president in 1841 to 1845. So that's in the height of slavery. Now listen to what he says. Now listen to this. Now it reads, this is what he said, and it reads, God works most inscrutably to the understanding of men. Then he goes to say, the Negro is torn from Africa, a barbarian, ignorant and idolatrous. He is restored, civilized, enlightened, and a Christian. Now you see that? That's what he said. This is his very words, which is quoted. Now I'm going to read to you also another leader of a country. Now this was English Prime Minister, Mr. Winston Churchill, and he was Prime Minister between 1940 and 1945. So now I'm showing you now this Prime Minister, this leader of this country now. This was even when slavery is supposed to be well abolished. But listen to what he had said about our people and the people of color. Now listen to this. It reads, I do not apologize for the takeover of the region by the Jews from the Palestinians. Now the Jews he's talking about is the modern day Israelis that are in Israel today, that are claiming to be Jews but are not. The Bible even tells you that when you go into the book of Revelations 2 verse 9 and Revelations 3 verse 9. Now I'll read on. Then he goes on to say, I do not apologize for the takeover of America by the whites from the Indians. That's how you get your Thanksgiving, because remember they went in there and they slaughtered a lot of the native Indians, and they took their land, which was America, from them by great slaughter and rape, everything. They did absolutely everything you could imagine that you could possibly do to a human being. They have done. Now, let me read on. I'll take it back up from where he says, I do not apologize for the takeover of America by the whites from the Indians, or the takeover of Australia from the blacks. And then he goes on to say, it is natural for a superior race to dominate an inferior. Now, is that not racism, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen? And listen to this now. And I'm even going to go even further into one of these religions that we were given. Even this is one. I mean, we were given religion because we were never supposed to be in religion. The book, which is the Bible that we have, is a book of laws, statutes, and commandments. You can read that in Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. I'm going to quote everything. Now watch this. Now this is the lady who under Miller created the because this guy, Mr. Miller, what was his name again? I've got it here somewhere. Bear with me, Israel. When you've got a lot of paperwork. The guy that Miss Ellen G. White, she studied under, his name was William Miller. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. William Miller was his name. And anyway, she created the Seventh-day Adventists. Yeah, and she created the Seventh-day Adventist was round about in about 1863. Yeah, well, slavery was still in effect there. Even though let's have a look. Just trying to remember, when was it actually abolished? 18. Well, it was still. It was still pretty much dominant, still going on there. And this is what this Ellen G. White, who created Seventh-day Adventists, which a lot of you are Seventh-day Adventists as well, or even came out from. Well, good for you if you've come out from it. And she was quoted saying, in heaven there will be no color line, for all will be as white as Christ himself. So you see, they've been pushing this doctrine and this image on us for centuries. Even today, this image is going around as Christ. But the Bible does not substantiate that image whatsoever and that description. There is a description of Christ in the Bible, yes. You can read that in Revelations 1. I think you can start at 13 to 15, and then you can also go to the book of Daniel, chapter 10, if I remember correctly. I'll have to check that. I think Daniel chapter 10, verse 6, if I remember correctly. Now, and that's what she said. Now, another religion that a lot of you are in is Jehovah's Witness. And that was created by this Mr. Charles Taze Russell in the year, when was that created again? In the year 1872. And this is what he says. Now, this is what he believed, rather, I better say, because it's quoted what he believed. He believed God, in his own time, can change an Ethiopian skin white. That's what he had believed. It's all documented and quoted. Now, and this Mr. T.D. Jakes dared to sit in front of national television, and tell you that slavery was only about wealth and money and gold and land and not about racism. Now, let me show you something else that you will never see or never hear. Now this, let's find it. Lucky Israel, bear with me because I've got a lot of things. Right, now this is something that they never speak on again either. What is this? This is what they call a nigger hunting license. This licenses you to hunt niggers, hunt, kill, whatever. Now I'm going to read to you what it says on it. I mean, it's very hard to read, but I'm going to read to you. It says on it, State of Missouri nigger hunting license. Yeah, and it says, having paid the license fee hereby licensed to hunt and kill niggers during the open season hereof in Missouri, this license must be carried on persons when hunting niggers. So you have to have this license with you while you're hunting the niggers. When hunting niggers, and gives the holder permission to hunt day or night with or without dogs. Now, it does say you only can do this on the open season, but listen to this. If you look at the bottom, you can see open season, January the 1st, and it closes December the 31st. So it's all year round. So it never really ends, does it? Now, and he still says it's not about racism. Now, let's go into the scriptures now. Let's start first at Ecclesiasticus, which is also known as Sirach 12, verse 10. Chapter 12, verse 10. Ecclesiasticus is in the Apocrypha, which the word Apocrypha, in Hebrew means hidden books, because there were books that was taken out of the Bible in the 18th century. But lucky for me, I have a Bible here with the Apocrypha in its right place. Now, this is what it reads. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. That's the verse we're dealing with. So the Bible's telling you clearly, never trust thine enemies. Now, why do I say that as well? Now let's go back into time. Let's go back into Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, where Moses was speaking to the Israelites, and he warned the Israelites, you go off from the law, statute, commandments. Yeah, there are things that's going to gonna befold you, gonna happen. One of those things that you will go, the Most High will return you back into slavery. Now let me give you a quick listen to this. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, and it reads, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now remember, it said Egypt again. Now we just came out of Egypt. Did the 12 tribes as a nation go back to Egypt after, the Most High under Moses delivered us out of the house of bondage, which was the house of slavery in Egypt? No, we never went back as a nation. I'm just making sure we get that clear. As a nation. Now listen to what the scripture says. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. So it's saying back into slavery again with ships. Notice it says on that clear verse, with ships. Now, which is the only nation you know went into slavery on ships? Silence. Because we are the only nation that went into slavery on slave ships. Yeah? And when I'm saying about we, I'm talking about the whole 12 tribes of Israel, the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom first went off into slavery because they went off into idolatry and all other things. So they was taken in what people never speak about, which was the sub-Sahara slave trade, which was before the transatlantic slave trade. So when this Matt and Laurie, when they started the interview with TD Jakes, when they said about in the 1500s, they're wrong, because slavery was before that. It was in the 14th century. It started, but it was a sub-Sahara slave trade with the Muslims. The Muslims, the Arabs, they took the northern kingdom into slavery, and they were forcing them into converting to Islam, just how we were forced into Christianity when we were taken in the 16th century, by Columbus and the Spanish and the French and the Portuguese and the Dutch, the English, the Germans, all them people. Yeah. Now let's read on. Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, and it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way of I spake unto thee. Moses prophesied this would happen. Thou shalt see it again no more, your homeland, Jerusalem, Israel, like the landmass, even though it wasn't called Israel at that time. Yeah? And thou shalt see it again no more. And then it says, and there, when you got to this new place on these ships, you shall be sold unto your enemies. Now, sold unto your enemies. There's one of the posters that you've seen when we got off the ships, when they was having their auctions. This was put up, Negroes, for sale. You'll be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman. And then it says at the end, and no man shall buy you. Now, when you go into the original word, remember this was written in Hebrew. Now, the original word at the bottom where it says no man shall buy you, the actual word where it says buy would have been qanah, which means to redeem, meaning no man will save you from this slavery. That's what that means. So you've got to, say it with proper understanding. Now, let's move on. Now, watch this. Now, this is. Let me stay in Deuteronomy, and we're going to jump up a couple verses to verse 43. We're going to go Deuteronomy 28, verse 43, and it reads, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Now, who's running all those banks? The IMF in America and all these banking systems. Not us. So you see? So those people who are above now, is saying the stranger within us. Now, why did it say the stranger within us? Now, let's go to the scripture and answer that too. Now, let's go to the book of Exodus, when we just coming out of Egypt, and we'll go to chapter 12 and verse 38. And it reads, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. Now it's showing you when we came out of Egypt, a mixed multitude came out with us. So that's the strangers within us. The mixed multitude would have been consist of Edomites, Ishmaelites, and so on. Now, and then this is what happened like in the wilderness. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. I want to show you everything as much as I can before I time out. Let's find the book of Nehemiah. Where are we? It's lucky Israel, just bear with me. Nehemiah 13 and 3. Now listen to this. And it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. So you see now, at the giving of the law, we separated ourselves from the mixed multitude. So only Israel now, like, sons of Jacob, the 12 tribes, were given the law. You can check that out. If you go to Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20, it will tell you there. He showed his word unto Jacob, the statutes of the law unto Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. So it tells you that. Now, watch this. Now, let's go back to Deuteronomy. We're going to go back to Deuteronomy 28 and watch this, verse 33. And it reads this. Listen to this. And it reads this. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. You see, that was the only be oppressed and crushed always by the people that's going to rule over us. And who was they? They were the Caucasians that took us into slavery, which they ruled over us. And why is this? I'll show you that too. Let's go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verse 17. And it reads, listen to this. And it reads, because this is when we always, when things are going well with us, we forget the Most High God. We go off into idolatry, and we look at what the other nations around us are doing, and we find it fun, and we want to do that, and we no longer want to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments because we find it, it's restricting us when it's for our good. Yeah. Now listen to this. It's in the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verse 17, and it reads, and I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you. Now you see that? Now the Most High said, they that hate us, so that's the racism, would reign over us. So who's reigning over us today? Those that hate us. Now watch this. I'm going to jump back quickly to Ecclesiasticus because I'm about to time out shortly. Time goes so quick when you are bringing out these scriptures, I tell you. Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 13, and it reads, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such that come nigh wild beasts? So it said, so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sin, who will pity? So showing you, you're going to go with them nations, the ones who took you into slavery and all that, and you're going to still eat up every word they say, and you don't question it. Yeah? You're going to listen to everything they say. You don't question it. You're going to join hands with them and clap and yay, Well, what you get, you deserve, basically. And nobody will pity you. Yeah. Now, quickly, last verse I'm going to give you. I'm about to time out shortly. This is Ecclesiasticus 12 and 12. And it says, set him not by thee, lest when he has overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked wherein. Now, see, it's showing you clearly, don't set them by you, because when they overthrow you, they will take your place. What exactly has happened? They've overthrown us, as we are the real Israelites. These Caucasians who call themselves Jewish has taken our place. And with that, I'm about to time out. So this is Yasharalah's 20-minute breakdown. I hope you got something with that. We out.